In this class, we're gonna redefine how we can actually work with lights and use that in our animation and make our text look amazing. We left here and this was the basic palette, or this was the basic canvas that we were working on. We have our basic text. We can click on that and we created our groups. So we have our background, which is just this, and we have our text group where we have just this. I can disable or enable this, and we also have light. So I'm just gonna disable the light and start from the very beginning. Now what I want to do is I actually want to animate the text first. So again, we're gonna go back to our first bit and click on text and go into properties, and this time we are going to look at not moving the text, but I want to make it visible and invisible. Right, so I want to work with the opacity. So what I want is I want our video to start with no text, and as we go further, the text appears magically. So what we'll do is we are going to take the opacity all the way down, and then there's a keyframe here. So I'm letting motion know that this is where I actually want to start our opacity, and then I can pay attention here. Maybe 3 seconds later, I want this. I'm just gonna make a change on the opacity meter, and that's when it will automatically put a keyframe for me. So now you can see how our text magically appears. Well, not magically, I mean it's great for opacity. If you have some background music, this will look very good. We want to bring in a light. Let's go all the way here and click create a new group. Let's call this group lights, and let's bring in light number 1. Okay, I want to call this light, let's choose a color, yellow. Okay, we're gonna make this light yellow. Let's click on that again and create one more light, and this would be red. Okay, I'm gonna bring them both into our group. You can see I can enable or disable them. All right, let's click on the red light and try to move it somewhere here, or maybe let's put light here, and then click on the yellow. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna make some changes here. Okay, now I'm gonna move the yellow light all the way here. So I've got 2 light sources. I have the red one and the yellow one. Let's change their color. Let's go into our properties, or in our inspector pane, and click on light module. Now we have properties where we can actually move the light from here to here in its Z or Y axis, or we can work on light here and change the color. So this one was yellow, so let's change this to a yellow color. All right, and I want a spotlight. All right, there you go. What I want to do now is you can see these 3 circles. These 3 circles are there to actually move the object in its 3D space. So I can click, or I can just hover my mouse here and then click and actually move the light the way I want, like this. So now we have a light which is facing towards our text, and then I can use these arrows to move them in Y and X axis. That's wonderful, right? Okay, now let's go to our red light, which is here. Change that to, again, we are in the light place. We can change that into point, and we will change this to a red light. All right, great. Now we are going to move this light also facing this side, and I'm gonna move it a little bit here. Okay, now what else can we do with these lights? Now there are other options that we have, right? We have the fallout option. We can increase it. Let's increase it all the way. Let's click on the yellow light, and this is completely optional. I mean, it's totally up to you how you wanna actually do this. And then we also have the intensity of the light, right? How intense this light is supposed to be. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we are going to animate this light for us. So I am going to click on yellow and go into properties, and what I want to do, okay, we will stick with lights, we won't move it here, we will be here. What I want to do is I want to change the intensity of this light, right? So right now this light is here, is off, and then I want to come all the way to 100% here. 100% will be good, from 0 to 100%. It works like the opacity that we were working on. So what I will do is I will create a keyframe here and then move my playhead to where I want it to be, and then let's just type in 100. Okay, there you go. Okay, nice. Let's do the same with red color. I want to create, let's create a keyframe, which is this, and all the way here we'll create another keyframe which is at 100%. All right, so now you can see when I play, okay, our text appears like this. Maybe let's play around with it a little bit. Let's click on yellow and our yellow light, and let's move it in its X and Y axes a little bit up. Maybe let's pull it back a little bit like that, and let's do the same with our red light. Let's pull it back a little bit. Okay, I think it's not bad, right? We got a very good light here. Gonna go back, bring it a little bit lower. Okay, now I'm not looking for a specific look here. I'm just playing around with it and demonstrating what can be done, but I'm also making sure that we get something which is really, really nice. Now if you go back and see, we have our animation. Okay, if you want, we can click on the Light Animation Studio text here, which will highlight it here, and we can basically reduce the size of the animation when you click on it like that, so half that, so our animation text will appear before the lights. There you go, not bad. All right, okay, good. So we have this now. What we can do is let's make it a little bit more. I'm happy with what I have here, but I want to go into library, and this time I want to work on, let's say, 3D objects. Okay, I was looking for something. Now the great thing is you have a search bar. I want to look for a plane. Okay, I've got airplane. And another thing I wanted to show you was that you can change the view. If you click on this button here, you can actually view the objects even better. That's completely up to you. My computer is still rendering this information, but you can see there are a lot of options that you can play with, right? What I want to do is I want to work with the airplane. I have an idea that will be suitable for the airplane. Okay, so we have the airplane. Let me move it above my text. Okay, now airplane is a 3D object. Now you can see by moving it up and down, it is actually changing a few things. So what I want to do is I want to rotate the airplane, and I want to go into my inspector and go into properties. Now I want to play on the X and Z axis. Now what Z axis does is it brings the object near or farther. You can see in the preview on active camera, which is appearing on the side, when I increase the Z axis, the plane is nearer or farther, right? So I want to take the Z axis and drop it all the way here. Okay, and now I want to put the plane somewhere here. Okay. When I zoom in, when I zoom in on this airplane, you can see that I am still able to actually move the plane in its act. Because it's a 3D object, I can do a lot of things with it, right, when I'm animating this thing. So wouldn't it be nice if we can just animate this and make it do some things for our animation studio? Okay, let's try to do that. I have an idea, see if that we are able to pull that off. Okay, let's see if I can go into the Z axis a little bit more. It's completely optional for you if you're doing this. You don't have to, but for the sake of these keyframe animation and all that. So what we'll do is we will take this out of our frame. You can see that it starts here. I want it to begin from the very beginning. Okay, I'll click on the airplane and I want to go and animate on all axes, X, Y, Z. So I'll click the master, or I can click each one of them. And then I'm gonna come all the way here. And animate the path that this airplane is going to take. All right, so it has that. So if I go ahead and play this, you can see that our plane is flying over that, and yep. Okay, great. Now, what we can do is we have only played with the position, which means from here to here in X, Y, Z axis, right? There's also rotation that we can play with, right? So what I want is, I want the plane when it comes somewhere here, I want the plane to rotate on its axis. Or maybe when we start the airplane here, I want the airplane at a specific axis, right? So what we can do is we can create a keyframe here on rotation. We've already created on position. We know that it's going to start from here, but now let's work on rotation. I'm going to move this like that, and once we start, okay, let's create a keyframe first. Once we begin, the plane is moving like that, and when it actually comes somewhere here, I want the plane to rotate. So now what we can do is we can either click on the rotation here. So we are telling motion that this is where I want the keyframe to happen, and we can actually change this to like that. Okay, let's see how it looks. So our plane enters the scene. Let's go back. I'm gonna zoom in. So you can see our plane is rotating. All right. Now that we are here, our plane has fully come back to its shape like that. You can see our plane was rotating and it came all the way like that. So now when it touches here, I want to create another frame and actually move the plane in the other direction, right? So let's just create a keyframe here and move our plane in other direction like that. Okay, and then keep going until animation. And maybe over here we want the plane to come back to its position. Let's see how it looks. We can always change that. All right, let's see. So here we go. We have the plane coming in. We can add some audio behind that or some sound effects, and then from here the plane changes and then it goes back, and that's how it actually looks. We are pretty happy with this. Let's try to render this and see what we get. I'm gonna click on share, export the movie, and I'm going to put it back in plane with lights animation. Here's our light, and that's where our plane comes in, and we are able to actually see our airplane right above, making those rotating on its axis and then disappearing the way we wanted it to be. Now, this is a very basic, very simple animation. We use 3D tools from there and use keyframing. Like I said, you can use the keyframes for anything that you are working with, and they will be able to actually help you a lot in producing the animated content that you are doing. So far, we've been working with images and 3D objects. Let's bring in the video and try to track the motion within that video in our software. I'll see you in the next one.